757 Spy Flight Deck. Welcome to my channel. Welcome if you're new. My name's Dave. I do the spy flights over on Twitch. There's also a new channel on Patreon where I'm doing some exclusive content over there. But today we're looking at the A3, actually it's the A20N. Yeah, okay, yeah, I know. It looks like an A320, it really does, but this is the fly-by-wire, and this is the A320 with the Neo Leap engines. This is the brand new airplane, and I've got to tell you, this is the free one from fly-by-wire. It really is one of those cool airplanes, and if you're just getting started in flight sim and want to learn about a complex jet, this one's free. And it's really good for a complex jet too. Big shout out and thank you for sticking with me today. I clearly have a cold. My brain is definitely in cold zone right now and a little bit fuzzy. So thank you for sticking through this as I stumble through this today. What are we doing today? Well, we're going to do, this is a route that we did on New Year's Eve, and it is a fun route. This is the famous Taipei to Hong Kong Kai Tak route. This is a famous route for flight simmers and all that. We're departing off of 5 left. This is going to be about an hour and 50-minute flight, and we are landing on the famous runway 13. It's only about a 500-mile flight today, but this is Kai Tak's famous checkerboard approach, and that's the way they spelled checkerboard. We're taking fly-by-wires A20N, also known as the A320, with the really cool new engines and some other new engineering. I am flying the experimental version. Now, one of the things about the experimental version with fly-by-wires is something that, you know, before you fly each day, you really ought to go and do a quick update. But fly-by-wire does have an updater. It's free, along with everything else that fly-by-wire does, and I do suggest you get that. Links for everything that I'm showing you will be in the description. I am using Navigraph, SimBrief, and SimToolkit Pro, the freeware Kai Tak. Okay, there's a couple of Kai Tak airports that are out there, and I did have one that I think was a payware earlier, but when Microsoft came out with the 40th anniversary of Flight Simulator, they came up with a new Kai Tak, and so I suggest going in and cleaning out all of your old Kai Tak and using that. It looks really, really good. Okay, another safety tip about this right now. You're also going to need special charts. I use Navigraph. Navigraph is great, but you know what Navigraph doesn't have? It doesn't have charts for Kai Tak. So let me show you what it is that I'm talking about. There is a special set of charts, and it's right over, it's a PDF that you can get, and it's going to show you the Kai Tak charts. There's the old Kai Tak airport. There's some of the departures, the approaches. This is a really old set of charts, and I'm going to go and come down here just a little bit more. Let's see if we can find the one we're looking for. There it is. This is the IGS approach. This is the checkerboard approach. Okay, so where do you get these charts? Thanks for asking. Link in the description. VATSIM Hong Kong has a link to this whole PDF package. It's 13 charts in there. This is the one that you're going to need, and you're going to hear me talking about a couple of waypoints along the way. The Cheng Chao VOR, and we'll talk about that as we get closer. There's also the Shalawan NDB, non-directional beacon, and then there is going to be the IGS. Okay, so this is like an ILS, but doesn't really take you down to the runway. It takes you to a very, very tight turn to final approach and what's called the famous checkerboard approach. Another link that you're going to find in the description below is a link to the Wikipedia page. This is a really great page. This airport closed in 1998. It's 2022. It's 2023. Happy New Year. It's 2023, and flight simmers are still talking about this incredible approach. The history of this airport is really pretty amazing. Yes, United, the airline that I'm kind of sim flying for all the time, they flew. You could do Chicago, LA, San Francisco, SeaTac, all came out here too. But the famous checkerboard approach, and I'm not kidding. I mean, they used to fly 747s, okay, really low. It was an amazing, it really was an amazing approach here. And by the way, the checkerboard is still there. I believe that this is an older picture of the checkerboard, and you can see that this one shows it in a little disrepair. From what I understand, Hong Kong has, they've done, people in Hong Kong, or maybe the government there, I'm not sure, they've all gone, and I think they're starting to restore the checkerboard as a little bit of a landmark. So link in the description for the Wikipedia page. It does make for a little bit of interesting reading. But today we're also doing a cold and dark video on the A20N. So the A320 with the Neo Leap engines, this is going to use less fuel. It's going to be less noisy. It's going to put out less pollution. And this is the future. So a lot of airlines are starting to replace their older A320s with the new version of the A320. And I got to tell you, the cockpit itself really kind of seems to be about the same. But as far as saving energy and being good for the environment, I don't think you can beat this right now. So, shall we jump in? Here's the deal about doing the flights like this. First of all, this is not about the right way versus the wrong way. This is simply what works for me, with the goal of helping, people who want to learn about Flight Simulator jump in and be successful in Flight Simulator. So like I said, we're going to go ahead and do this flight. We're going to Kai Tak. You don't really need anything all that extra except the free airplane and the free charts with the link below. So if this is your first time with me, fly along with me. Stop the video right now, load up your sim. You already know what our departure airport is, right? The only difference is the weather might be a little bit different because this is pre-recorded. But other than that, fly along with me. The cool part about YouTube is you can stop and restart the videos. You can also roll something back if I did something that you didn't catch. I also like to suggest that in a couple of days after you do a flight with me, take this same airplane out, but do a flight around your hometown airport or a route that you know about. That way it's going to help you remember all the stuff that you found out here. Okay? And again, sorry about the cold and the fuzzy brain. I do have plenty of artificial inspiration in the cockpit with me, and we should be able to muddle through somehow on this. And then hopefully this helps you a bit too. Enough yap. Shall we start pushing buttons? All right, the airplane is at the gate. We're at gate Delta 7. We are at Taipei Airport. You can see that the airplane is off. It's cold and dark. And let's go ahead. And the way to start this airplane is come into the cockpit and click the center of the screen. And that's going to launch the flypad. I think this is the airplane they used to call this the flypad. And you can see that it's all nice and that we've got a blank screen here. This main screen has lots of great information. And one of the things you need to do is you see the little wheel down here in settings. You need to go down there and enter in your SimBrief ID. If you have Hoppy ACARs, you also need your Hoppy ACARs so that you'll be able to get some data during the flight too. But they're pretty simple, and you should be able to figure that out by clicking the wheel and entering your data. After you've done that, you should be able to come and just click Import SimBrief Data. Oh my gosh, look at that. There it is. VMMC. Cost index. Now then, VHHX. The thing is this airport closed in 1998. So there are some gaps in what works and what doesn't. Okay. So we'll have to work around a few things. Like there is no ICAO here for VHHX. By the way, write down VHHH. That's the current Hong Kong airport, and that's how you're going to get some weather. Okay, so let's go to the next thing. This is the clipboard, and the clipboard here, it's going to show you your flight plan. So there you go. This is the text version or the PDF version of the flight plan. Let's go to the next page, and we're going to go and do the little. We're going to do the little truck here, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab the jet bridge. And if you look over here, you can see, oh my gosh, it's coming right at us. Here comes the jet bridge. And so this just goes and gets the jet bridge. To load the airplane, you don't need to get the jet bridge. This is for your visual entertainment, okay? And Flight Simulator pilots, that's kind of what we do. All right, so we now have a jet bridge. Let's also talk about wing views. First of all, the cabin on this airplane is not modeled. As I go and I slide over here, you can see that the cabin is clearly not modeled here, but they have what I call these window boxes. So they got a couple of window boxes here. I'm also including another link in the description. This is somebody else's YouTube video about how to get past the artificial barriers. So there is a Star Trek force field that is in place here. So you see how we can't go through the door here? You can't open the door. All right, there's a couple of other planes that are like that too. And there's also a link down in the description so that shows you how you can go and change some configuration files and go and set up wing views. Seriously, developers, stop including the Star Trek barrier there. We don't need a force field there. We're flight simmers. We want wing views. Okay, so enough of that rant. This is not a rant show. All right, so now we've got a jet bridge. I have wheel chocks and safety cones are out right now. You could also click the ground power button, and that's just going to go ahead and drive up a ground power cart for you. And fortunately, I think they stopped with the very, very annoying red light, the yellow rotating beacon, because it really got bright in the cockpit here. And now we're all pretty much done. Let's go ahead and turn power on the airplane. It's an Airbus. It's simple. We've got our voltages here. So we're going to go and do voltage A, voltage B, battery A and battery B, excuse me. And then we're going to go and do power. Oops, can't hear anything. Let's turn on the airplane. There we go. There's sounds. Okay, well, that definitely was sound for sure. By the way, there is an option in this airplane for what we like to call the barking dog. Okay, there's a pump back in the middle of the airplane, and it goes off. It's called the PTU pump. It's a hydraulic pump, and it goes off every now and then. And if you're sitting back in the passenger cabin, you really do think that there's some dog down in the cargo bay that's barking or something like that, because it sounds like a barking dog. Now, this one in this airplane sounds a little more dramatic. Technically, the pilots up in the cockpit can't hear the dog bark, but this airplane, the developers realize, we are sim pilots and we want to hear the dog bark, so that's an option you can turn on. Okay, airplane is doing some of its power-up tests. Let's go ahead and do nav and logo light system. There is either on or off on this one. There's two systems in the real airplane. They only model one right now. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn on just that on right there. Let's come on over here, and we're going to have to fuel the airplane, so no smoking's going on. I'm also going to come up here, and then I've got a little button here for overhead integrated lighting, and this is sort of a fader switch, and you can see how the instruments kind of pop out a little bit. It's easier to read them. I do suggest turning those on, and if you are flying in the middle of the night or something, I think some airline SOPs are you turn the dome lights on to dim no matter what. You can turn on the dome lights, and that adds a little bit more. There's another integrated lighting system, and that's going to be down here, and a floodlight. So let's go ahead and we're going to turn up this integrated lighting, which, by the way, gives us the best pedestal and throttle lights of any airplane there. And then I'm also going to do maybe a couple of clicks of the floodlight there too. And you can see things are coming, waking up here. There is another two of these here, and there are two knobs that are underneath the autopilot, and you can backlight the autopilot. Also, you can turn up and down the intensity of the numbers here too. Okay, so we've got all of those in there. Let me talk about radios for just a second. And by the way, I'm going to take 30 seconds just to say, I'm not sponsored by anybody, so if I'm recommending something here, it's because I really recommend it. I think it's really good. Not paid to say any of this. And so one of the things I'm going to do is tell you about a very nice gift that came my way this Christmas, and it is for a radio panel. And so you can see I've got the radio panel. It's on over here. I'm using an application called spad.next. I went out and registered it. This is something that's, I think eventually you're going to want anyway. But you can also see this is my new radio panel. Okay. It's the Logitech Flight Simmers radio control panel. Okay, now I'm still learning how to use a little of this, and I've got it mostly set up. You may need to hit the virtual power switch, but now you can see those lights are on. And then if we go here, you can see that as I'm turning the knob here on the right side, that goes and turns the knob there. You can see I'm changing the frequency. I will tell you, if you are flying on VATSIM, I don't know how it is that I've survived this long without having this little bit of hardware sitting on my desk. I can change the radio frequency very, very easily. So there's 122, and we can crank it down to 122.8. And there is 8. You can also switch it and make it active. There we go. You can also, with this particular setup, we can come over here, and I think we can go and I can dial. So there's 2000, so you can change your transponder frequency. Also, if you come up here and use the inner knob, you can also set your altimeter. So there's 2992. Really, really nice. Now, there's several different ways to set this up. I'm still learning. I think eventually SPAD.next is going to be pretty awesome because you're also going to be able to set your control bindings. So you know how you have to change the control settings depending upon your airplane? SPAD.next is going to help you, avoid doing that. There is a learning curve, and it's going to take some work to get everything set up. But once you get it set up, this seems to be really, really awesome. So there we go. All of those things are set up, and now we can control the radios and stuff too, which I'm just thrilled to be able to do. All right, so airplane is up and running. Let's go over here. We've got ground power. We've got a control. We could also do cargo doors, but we're going to go to fuel next. And if you've gone and put your SimBrief ID into the settings here, you can see here there is a little cloud. It's down here. It's turquoise down here, and if you click it, that's going to go and get your fuel. That's what you need for your fuel for the flight. And then over here on refueling time, you can do instant, fast, and real. I'm going to get real after this one and then hit the green button. So in 3 minutes, it will do the fuel. I don't think that it shows a fuel truck on this one, but it's doing the fuel on the airplane. Okay, come on over here. Let's do payload. This is passengers. Now then, what we'll do here is you can see I have no passengers and no cargo aboard. If you go over here and click this whole little side banner, that downloads your passenger load for the flight. 99 passengers, cargo, and it should give you the 0 fuel weight from your flight plan. And so if we look at the flight plan, let's see if I'm going to look like an idiot here. My 0 fuel weight is supposed to be 55267 on this flight. 0 fuel weight, 53297. That's close enough for me. That's close enough. I think let's go ahead. And again, you could do instant, fast, and real. I'm going to go and click this one over to fast. And we're going to go and see the 2 arrows. Begin boarding. There we go. Passengers are getting on the airplane. And so there we go. Now we can go and do more airplane things. By the way, there are also some sounds on this airplane. There's some cabin announcements. They got a real-world pilot to record some captain announcements too. You can turn those off. I like them. They're good announcements. Probably for VATSIM, I'm going to start to turn those off because the captain starts making announcements at the wrong time. So anyway, that's one of the things that I'm probably going to be turning off soon. Let's go over here, and for now there is only one flight management computer that works. There is a version 2 of their flight management system that they are working on right now, and it's going to give us both FMCs independently. I gotta tell you, I've gotten to the point where I'm now using 2 independent FMCs in my sim flying. So clearly I have jumped down a few too many rabbit holes. Let's go ahead and do the ATSU system. Air Traffic Services Unit is what that stands for. We're going to go ahead, and it says the GPS primary is lost. We're going to clear that for now. And then we're going to do AOC, Airline Operations Control. Let's go to init. Let us init a bit, and we're going to init a data request. Again, if the airplane knows your SimBrief username, then it's going to go ahead and load everything up. And there is our flight plan, hour 26 flying time, pretty cool. Let's talk about another thing. Let's talk about the weather system here. So weather request, no airports are here. I know what I did wrong. Let's go over here and go back out of this. Let's go to the main menu. Let's go to McDo menu and FMGC. Okay, now it says check your navigation database. We're updated. Now we'll do init. Let's do init again. This is going to go and get flight plan data. Okay, so there's our flight plan data. Uplink insert in progress. While that's going on, now that the airplane knows that we're in Taiwan, let's come on up here.
Ladies and gentlemen from the flight deck, on behalf of myself, your captain, the first officer, and cabin crew, I'd like to take this time to welcome you aboard our flight. We're just wrapping up some paperwork up front here and waiting to receive final numbers from the ground crew, then we'll be on our way. Flight attendants will be coming through the cabin shortly with a very important safety briefing. We do ask that you give them your full, undivided attention as they review the safety operations of this Airbus aircraft. We do appreciate your business having you aboard this flight. If there's anything we do to make your flight any more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask. Welcome aboard.
Okay, I shouldn't mock the captain like that, but all right. So you can see kind of why it is that I might be turning that off during a VATSIM event. Now that we've done this, let's come on up here and we're going to go ahead and do the navigation system. So go ahead and click nav. Now in the other airplanes, the fault light goes on here, and then the on battery light pops in here too. So one of the things is I do notice that it takes a little bit longer in this airplane. So I don't know whether it's accurate on this one or the Phoenix, but I know both the developers are trying to make this airplane as close to real as you can get. So there you go. I usually wait to see the on battery light. I don't know if this is one of those things that you just go click, 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 and you're ready to go, or you wait and check each individual system. But there's all three of those. The other thing that you can come over here and do is you can come and do fire checks. So we can come do the fire checks here. There's the APU fire check. One of the things that you can't do is I don't think you can hold the test button down and check all of the other indications that are going to show up in the cockpit, but you can kind of go and get those things down. Let's also come on down here and, whoops, I have to learn my way around here. Okay, let's do the master switch on the APU. Excuse me for the sniffage. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and get the APU started. And now as we come on down here, the flight plan uplink is done. Let's go ahead and clear that. Let's go to the IRS init page. We're going to align on our reference position here. And sometimes it takes 2 or 3 clicks on this one to be able to get it to do that. And then I double clicked it there, and all of a sudden it's doing that. So that takes a little bit of time. Also, you can go and get your winds and temperatures now. So wind request, and this is going to be for your climb. And so that goes and gets the winds. Now then you can hit the next button, and this will get you your cruise winds. So I guess you can request those now, or maybe you do that later. I don't know. I would think maybe perhaps later. And then the next phase is going to be descent winds. Let's just do that now. And again, I don't know if you do that all at once or at the same time. After that, I think that it's in. You don't have anything else to do, so we can return out of there. Okay, so all of this is looking good. Let's go back to the McDo menu. Let's go back to ATSU and Air Operations. Let's go back to Weather Request. And now do you see how it's plugged everything in for us? So our departure airport, our arrival, and our alternate. Now I'm going to go and change this VHHX. I'm going to change it to VHHH because I don't know that that's going to work so well for us. And now let's go ahead and send this out because I don't think that there is a METAR station at Kai Tak anymore. I think it's only at the main airport. So now that we've sent that, let's return. Go to received messages. There's the METAR. And there's our METAR. So now if you go, you can hit print. And let's see if we started printing. Oh, look at this. So this is one of the new things that some developers are starting to do that I think is pretty cool. The team from AnyBuilds does that with the old school Airbuses. Let's tear it off. And then it goes and it puts it right down over here. And there's your METAR right there. Wow, is that nice. I can tell you there's been some VATSIM events that I really wish that had been there. Okay, so we've got all of that taken care of. Let's go back into the init page. And everything looks good. That looks great. Init page 2 time. So let's have a look over here and see what's going on. Passengers are loaded. We have a new zero fuel weight now. So it's 53.2 is our new zero fuel weight. So we can go and do init page B. So 53.2. Do the little slash. And now our center of gravity is 24.25%. So we can go 24.25 and put that in. Now there's something that you can do on the other Airbus. It's, I guess, a little test that you do, and you go over to your your alternate fuel. My alternate fuel is 0.5, and you can put that in there. And then that's supposed to do your fuel planning, and if it turns green, that is a preliminary check of your fuel planning or something. It doesn't work in this airplane yet. I'll bet it's going to work when we get into version 2, but you can also do that little test. Right now, we'll just look up here at the gas gauge. It says 5.04, so let's go 5.04 and put that into block fuel, and then that's going to go and finish everything up for us. Okay, so all of this is looking good. Passengers are all on board. That's looking great. Let's go ahead and start doing a little bit more data, including the performance data. Now then, this is where we're waiting for some more things to come from our friends at Fly-by-Wire. And there's a small $5 payware app that you can get, and it's called SimSmart. Okay, I think I need to go, oh, there it is. Wow, right in front of me. SimSmart A320 Neo Performance Calculator. And there it is. So let me slide that out of the way. I think I need to go back to the init page here, and we need to go to page B because we need a number out of this. Okay, so here's SimSmart. We are at RCTP. And let's hit OK. Retrieving airport data. Please wait. Okay, runway. And now we can go and select our runway for departure. Our runway for departure is 5 left. So 5 left. Let's go and grab the METAR. There's the METAR. The runway condition right now, we got a little bit of light rain out here. I wouldn't say that it's huge wet. It might be a little bit damp. So I don't know what the rule is. I'm going to say that it's dry today. Okay. And so we're going to call it dry. Our anti-ice is going to be off. Takeoff weight. Okay, so our takeoff weight, we're going to get this back down here on init page B. TOW is 58.0. So 58.0. 58.0. Okay? Takeoff config. In this case, what was that zero fuel weight center of gravity? It was less than 27%. We are going to flex for takeoff. Our flaps are going to be 1+F. I'm going to leave my air conditioning on because I care about the comfort of my passengers. All right, I'll stop. And now at this point, we can hit calculate. So config 1, flexing to 68 degrees, 145, 145, 146. We have everything but a trim setting. Okay, there is a graphic out there that I found that does give you trim settings for an older Airbus for takeoff. There's an easy way to take care of this. GPS primary is done. Let's go ahead and clear that. Our center of gravity is 24.3%. So if we look down here, there is 20%, there's 25. So 24.3 is going to be right around here. So we'll call that up 0.6. So let's go ahead and see if we could first of all move that. Okay, I can only move this a certain amount. So that's as far as it'll let me go. But I think my center of gravity, my takeoff, my trim setting is going to be 0.6. So we can go to the init page now, and we the performance page, excuse me. It's going to be flaps 1 over, and our trim setting is going to be up 0.6. That's about as good as I think that I'm going to be able to get. Now, in the A3 1920 and 21, you're putting this up, the trim setting, you're putting that in for your information. On the A340, apparently when you put it in there, it will automatically set your trim for you on that airplane, which I think is pretty cool. But I guess in the smaller Airbuses, you still have to set it yourself. Flex temperature, off of this little guy here, we are flexing to 68 degrees. So 68 degrees, 68 goes in there. Okay, and V1, 145, 145, 146, those are our speeds. So 145, 145, and 146. Now, I believe in the airplane, if you don't have this takeoff calculator, and I think that a takeoff calculator like this or this one is coming. So that's going to be something that they are working on at Fly-by-Wire. But you can also just click those, and I think that's going to give you your takeoff speeds. I'm not 100% sure. But I think we're ready to go. We have an APU up and running. Let's go ahead and do APU bleed. Also turn the temperature down about 3 clicks in the back because there's more people. Let's turn on crew supply of oxygen now. Everything's looking pretty good here. I think it's almost, let's start closing up the airplane. Passengers are all aboard, so we can go back over here to services. We can go and remove the jet bridge. That's going to close the front door. Let's come on up here. APU is up and green, so we're going to turn off external power, and we can disconnect the ground power cart. So that's all good to go. Okay, everything is looking good here. The only other little rabbit hole that you might jump down is come on over here. If you've already got your charts, we're doing the departure, and we're going to go and look and see what we have. Climb on runway heading until leaving 6,000 feet. Do we have a top climb here? 4,000. So our top climb is going to be 4,000. So we can come up here and dial in 4,000. 2, 3, 4. That looks good. Let's see. We haven't done departure and arrival yet. So we are going to be departing off of runway 5 left. We are doing the Charlie 1 Charlie, I believe. Yep. Charlie 1 Charlie. So let's go ahead and get that done. So come on down here. Flight plan. And I'm trying to do this a little bit later because in VATSIM land, they're giving us our runways later and later and later. So I'm starting to go and put these in later and later too. So let's go and pop that in. And the Charlie 1 Charlie is our departure. And that's all we need. So let's go ahead and insert that. Now then, for the arrival, let's see what's available. I've got no idea what this is going to be like. So VHHX, arrivals, ILS 31, GPS 13, runway 13. Let's see if there's another page. And runway 31. That's all we've got. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do runway 13. Okay. Now then, as far as stars or anything, there is one. I'm not going to use it for this. So let's go over here and we're going to go no star and insert that. Okay, so all of this looks pretty good. Let's come on over here. There's decoy, there's summer, there's Charlie. Okay, after Charlie, it's Candy. So let's remove that route discontinuity. Let's keep going down. Okay. Hey, look at that. It put in CF. Let's go and see what that is. That sounds familiar. So let's come over here and VHHX. There's CH. There's Golf. There's SL. I don't know what that one is. That one is a little different for me. So what we're going to do is after CF. Nope, it's not. It's not. It's not Tatong Point. It's not it's not their non-directional beacon. Don't know what that one is, but there is this thing called CF. I'm not sure what this one is. Is that, nope, that's not the outer marker either. No idea. So what we're going to do is after Elato, as we come in, so let's go up just a little bit. Nope, let's go up a little. So, okay, so after Elato, okay, there is Elato. Let's go ahead and see if we can put in the Cheng Chao VOR. That is CH. So let's see if CH is in our database. And it is in some cases. I'm going to put it right on top of descent here. Let's see if it shows up. It hasn't blown up yet. After Elato, there's CF. This is one of those things where I'm kind of making it up as I go. Okay, so that didn't show up. Let's see if SL will show up. Let's put that in there on top of that. That didn't show up too. So all we have is this CF. That's okay, because what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go into the radio navigation page, and we're going to have to make some changes in some of the frequencies here. So we're going to have to do this manually. Yippee, what could possibly go wrong with that? Okay, so all of this looks good. I think at this point we can push back and let's solve some problems in the air, which the real pilots are all going, no, you don't do that. You solve your problems on the ground before you go. Anyhow, all of this is good. Let's put performance in. Let's push back and get ready to go. So look outside the airplane. We are clear of the jetway. We do have chocks and cones still out. So let's come on in here. And services. I'm going to go and get rid of wheel chocks and cones. Let's also look down and see, is the parking brake on? The parking brake is indeed on. It's not letting me get rid of those. Let's go to the pushback truck, and maybe that's how we can get rid of those. So this has an incredibly awesome pushback. Let's go ahead and go pushback system on, and then want you to confirm it. While that's going on, let's tidy up here. First of all, seatbelts can go on. Seatbelts are on. Let's arm the emergency exit lights. Let's do the beacon. We have disconnected from ground power, right?
Flight attendants, arm doors, and cross-check.
Available. So all of that's good. Let's go ahead, and I always forget my fuel pumps on the Airbus. So we're going to go ahead and turn on our fuel pumps now. Okay, so now that these are good, let's call the tug. And so the tug should be attaching, and if you look down here, you can see our tug is coming to get us. At that point in time, since we've started this, notice how my cones are gone and my chocks are gone. Okay, so that takes care of those things. Parking brake is on. Now, if we come down here and lock the door, that's how we don't hear the cabin announcements. I love cabin announcements too, but that's if you lock the door, that takes care of those things. And we're waiting. It says tug is attached. So shall we start our pushback? This is probably one of the coolest pushbacks ever. And the reason is we have this display up here. So now what we can do is it says it's paused. Let's go backwards. And if you click it a couple times, that increases the speed. Uh-oh, we're not moving very fast. Why is that? Somebody forgot to do parking brakes. Now let's try it again. Oh, there we go. There we go. And there's our pushback. Here's another great time. Oh, wow, you come back here, you can hear the passenger safety briefing.
Take a moment to locate your closest exit and remember it may be behind you. If there is a change in cabin pressure, floor oxygen mask will drop from overhead.
Very nice pushback.
Place the mask.
And then we don't hear it here. And so this thing basically is awesome. So if we're going to make a turn, we can make a turn and it shows us the way we're going. Looks like we're kind of getting off the line. Let's go to the left a little bit here. Ah, look at that. Now it's showing us where our pattern, where we're going. So you can do a spin. So if ATC says face south, face east, face west, you can go ahead and do this, and you can do this from here. This is really, really helpful for a simulator pilot. So we can basically go ahead and do our whole pushback from here. We're not looking out here. You know, we could also even use this to come and start up an engine. So starter goes on. Do we have pneumatic power? We do. Starter switch will start engine number 1, and engine 1 starts. And you can see we're going to put our nose wheel right where it belongs. So you can do a bit of the only thing you can't see from here is, I think, other airplanes. The engine start sounds on this airplane are particularly good. I've got to hand it to a lot of the developers. Their start sounds are better and better all the time. And that looks pretty good. So we'll line ourselves up right about there. Straight. And stop. And let's go ahead and do parking brakes. Parking brake is on. And detach the tug. And look at that. We're right where we're supposed to be. This, like I said, this is one of the most thoughtful pushback apps ever. Really, really nice. So long, tug. Have a groovy day. And there's our salute and release from guidance. Now we can go and turn the pushback system off. And we got a good start on our first engine. Let's go ahead and start engine number 2. By the way, the thrustmaster... Uh-oh. That's the dog. There's the PTU pump. As I said, it sounds a little more dramatic on this one, as opposed to the barking sound that we're used to from other airplanes. I don't know if that's the case or not, but again, very entertaining. Cool thing that we have with the charts with Navigraph now. Super duper big thank you to Navigraph. Let's go to the information page, and the METAR shows up here, 1025. There's one way to get it. We could also look down here, and this one says altimeter is 3028. So, I know I'm doing real world weather. Oh, 1025, that was the trend, excuse me. Yeah, 1025. So let's go ahead and click inches, hectopascals, and 1025. And I have my airplane set up so it just changes them all. I realize that's a little bit less immersion for some, but I'm busy enough. And all of this is looking good. The airplane's done. The pushback system is off. I'm going to go and click the top line here, and that'll just be basic flight data. And we have 2 good starts on our engines. Let's get the starter system back to normal. And by the way, that switch works great in the thrustmaster too. Okay, so we're done with the APU bleed, and we're done with the APU. Let's look down here, do control checks. So there is those controls, and there's ailerons, rudders. Let's see if it will let me do. Okay, so it will let me go and do my trim setting after we've started up the airplane. So it's just a limited travel when the airplane's not on. Okay, I think we're ready to go. So ground chart here. We're basically going to go ahead and we're heading over to runway 05 left. That's straight ahead. I do really suggest, if you can use the moving maps, please set up your moving maps on this. This really is helpful, especially off to the side here. So basically taxiway Papa to 05 left, especially if you're on VATSIM, and especially if you're in one of those confusing, crazy busy events. Even if you know the airplane and the airport like the back of your hand, have that set up, because there's so much going on. If you've got a gaming chair, and mine's pretty old, but if you've got one, make sure that your chair is locked in so you don't start leaning back too much while you're taxiing and starting to push rudder pedals. That can be a little embarrassing. And out we go. I really think that the sounds on this airplane are really, really awesome. I can't remember if this airport, and excuse me again for the sniff, if this is a payware or a freeware, but this is a nice Taipei for us. I did forget to squawk mode Charlie on the taxiways. And on,
please prepare for takeoff.
And that means you've got to go over here and turn the transponder and the TCAS up. Turn both of those on, otherwise it's not going to work for you. And out we go. This airplane does apparently need a little bit of thrust to get going. Let's do flaps. There goes flaps. I think the window flap looks good. We could also do a speed brake check. And speed brakes are really going slow on this airplane. And speed brakes down. Speed brake check is good. Holy cats, boy did I get going fast. Auto brakes are going to be set to max. After we did the speed brake check, we can go and arm our speed brakes. Also hit the rudder reset, rudder trim reset. I need to get back over where I belong here. You on the ECAM checklist, it does say cabin, so you need to look up here and hit the all call button. Sometimes you need to do that twice to get that to clear itself. And then come down here, hit takeoff config, and you should have a green ECAM checklist, and it is green. We're ready to go. I think we're almost ready to depart. We'll go ahead and do Papa 2. You could loop around a little bit and get the longer tax, the little bit more off to the left there. Oh no, this is Papa 1. Okay. Let's see. I think I forgot to do nose lights for taxi. That's a good thing to do. Not doing a very good job. Okay, the category 3 hold. That's for category, if they're doing category 3 ILSs. So there is our hold short for the runway. If you do have access to some real world, to a real world checklist, now is a great time to do that. And I think we're ready to go here. My flight directors are not showing at the moment, but I think we're ready to go. So let's hit the runway. Let's go and do strobes. And I'm going to do 2 clicks. The first click on the landing lights. That doesn't turn them on. It just drops them out at the bottom of the airplane. I believe that this airplane also has an electronic checklist that you can use. And when I'm learning a new airplane, I found that those are incredibly helpful. Okay, come on, airplane. This seems to have either warp factor 10 speed in taxi or just sitting there. Okay, all of this looks good. Let's go up here and do now the landing lights are going up full. And let's see what happens. Throttles up, and I usually run them up to just below that little half line there. And then I wait till the engines spool up. And that's going to be your check for stable engines. Stable. And I've got manual flex, SRS, and runway are set. Auto thrust is blue. Flight directors have popped in there too, I believe. Speed's coming up. One thing that I wish that airplane developers would put into their airplanes is airspeed callouts. So they should have had 100 knots. There is V1, and there's rotate. I really wish that developers would start doing those sorts of things. Nice wing view looking out. This is what flight sim pilots want to see. And a pretty cool airport. How we doing with our flight directors? Right on. Landing gear. Gear going up. Yes, I do use an old school United livery. I think this was their best look. And looking pretty good. Temperature outside the airplane should be above freezing. TAT 17 degrees, no big deal. Okay, lever climb, thrust climb. If you're in a very big VATSIM event, I do suggest AP soon. So let's get AP taken care of right now. If there were 2 people in the cockpit to handle radios and everything, okay, I'm gonna fly by hand a little bit more. But quite frankly, if there's not, I'm gonna go and get to my autopilot soon, because we're busy campers. Hey, look at that, 4,000 feet, just where we thought we were supposed to be. ATC is called. Climb and maintain 17,000. So 17,000, and you're going to probably have to hit the managed button again to continue your climb. Now that we're out, let's go ahead and go to the 20-mile range. We could have I did hit constraints, so I was a good pilot there. One of the things that you could have noted is transition altitude over on the departure chart. So transition for the departure is 11,000 feet. And we're continuing the climb. Let's see, I haven't done very good with flaps 1 yet, but I think we've got slow speeds going out, maximum 210 knots. So 210 knots until we're pointed at Novus. So 210 knots anyway. So did we pass the S? We did, so flaps could go up at this point. Always fun to go outside, do a wing view, and watch the flaps and slats go up. And there's Novus. Now the airplane's going to let itself speed up. You have to be above 4,000 feet at summer. We're good there. You can also see that things are a little bit gusty here today. It's always gusty along the coast. Now then, it's getting a little bit light here, so let's go ahead and we're going to turn these up just a bit. We can also turn up the ECAM and maybe brighten this up just a bit more. Especially now that it's getting sunny. There's 10,000 feet. Landing lights can go off. The nose light can go off. I'm going to do an all call for the cabin. Let the cabin crew know it's 10,000 feet. That means the cabin's going to, they're going to say, stay in your seat. There's 11,000 feet. QNH is flashing. So let's go ahead and do standard. And all is right with the world. Disarm the speed brakes. Predictive wind shear. I failed to turn on my predictive wind shear. Let's do predictive wind shear. And there is Novus. And out we go. Make the map a little bit bigger. ATC is called. Climb, maintain 27,000. There we go. That's good enough. So we'll just continue the climb. And a very nice view of clouds. Speeds for takeoff, I think, worked really good. So using the little takeoff calculator helped. Again, I'm expecting that we're going to be getting a takeoff calculator that'll be within the EFB soon. Top of descent, they're slowly working on that. You're not going to see top of descent here in the McDo. You will see top of descent. You'll see a top of descent hockey stick show up here. Like you can see top of climb. is showing up here 30 miles from here. So they're still working on that, and that's going to take a little bit of time. Over here on charts, I'm going to go ahead and just click out of here. We're done with the star. And now we'll just go ahead and let this do a little bit of tracking. If you've got a tracker that helps you out, especially in a VATSIM event, I do suggest using it. It's very easy to get overworked in a VATSIM event, particularly some of the more busy events. And so if you've got the visual security of being able to look at a flight tracker map like that, that's just one other indicator of this is where we are. This is where we're supposed to be, and that helps out a lot. Okay, all of this is looking good. There is summer. ATC is called, final cruise, 38,000. And we're continuing the climb. Again, sorry about all the sniffing. Very annoying, I know. Our speed's up pretty good. Notice how the speed isn't jumpy like it was on the ground. We had gusty winds when we took off a bit today, so it's not as gusty. So that's really nice. Passing 18,000 feet. I'm going to do another cabin call since it's smooth. And that lets the cabin crew know that they can get up and start preparing the galley and the galley carts and everything else for pretzels and soda or coffee. Although this is a United flight, so that would be coffee and stroopwafels in the morning. Everything's looking good here. If you need an estimated time of arrival, there's several places you can get those. If you're using Sim Toolkit Pro, over here it shows that we got about an hour of flying time here. And it's tracking our flight fairly nicely. So that's really nice to have. So this is giving you an idea of where we are. Got an hour's worth of flying time there. That's one place you can go. You could also go down here, go to flight plan, and this shows that we have 448 miles left to go in our flight plan, and this shows 0050. All right, I'm not flying real time right now, and because it's starting to get dark there, and it was easy to show the cockpit like this. So if you're gonna change the time like I did, look over here and you can see it says 23:42 is our current airplane time, and this says we're landing at 0050. Little bit of a discrepancy there. Not much of one, but so this is showing an hour and 10 minutes of flying time. It'll be interesting to see what happens. So generally what we do on the YouTube videos is once we get to cruise and there's nothing to do, generally what I will do is pause the video, and you should pause the video too, and wait until that top of descent hockey stick. So there is 30 miles. Let's go ahead and make this 80 miles. So when the top of descent hockey stick starts to show up, well, this one's now shown. Oh, there's the top of climb, excuse me. So when we start to see the top of descent hockey stick show up here, that is when you'll start the video again, and we'll have to go in and do some interesting things here. We're going to need to come in and use the radio and navigation page. We're going to have to put in the ILS frequency and course for this. We're also going to need a VOR. So we're going to need to have a VOR that we're going to have to plug in here. I think we're also going to need to plug in the ADF. Let's see if we can do that right now. I mean, we're not going to pick up anything, but going back to our charts, we're going to need the Shalawan non-directional beacon. That is 268 degrees. It worked earlier, so let's see if 268 will show up in Shalawan here. There's 268. So we've got a non-directional beacon that should pop up. Now we got to come up here, and we need to. Okay, these are both set to the VOR. I'm going to move that to the VOR. I'm going to move this one to the ADF. And actually, I should have done two. 268 over in ADF number 2, and let's clear this one. Okay, good. So now we have 268 on the ADF there, and let's see if the ADF starts to show up. Right now it says it's tuned to 268, but nothing's going on. As I would expect, we are, so back over here to flight plan, we are 428 miles out. So there's our little experiment for today. If we were on VATSIM, we would be talking. There are occasions that VATSIM Hong Kong, who, by the way, put together the maps that I linked to here, they will occasionally do an event called the Kai Tak Heart Attack. So normally, if you're going to fly into Hong Kong on VATSIM, they expect you to use the new airport. But every now and then, they close down the simulated new airport and open up Kai Tak. And so if that's something that you want to do, important safety tip. When they do the Kai Tak Heart Attack, there is a deluge of airplanes. It's crazy, okay? So one of the things that happens over at Kai Tak is there's a lot of airplanes, and you should expect to do multiple holds. One time that I was doing the Kai Tak Heart Attack, coming on in, I had, I think I did about 8 holds over Cheng Chau here. There was also coming in on the approach that we got, and I think that's a departure chart. This is a standard departure. Okay, yeah, we came in here, and so we came in here on the standard arrival chart, and it was this approach here. I also remember doing almost 10 orbits here at Alpha. Okay, so on this one here, I remember doing, I remember holding at Alpha. So load a ton of extra fuel if you're going to do that one. This was one of those events that I actually had to go and do a mid-air refueling, which was basically I just called up the fueling page within the sim and added more fuel. I mean, that's how bad it was. So expect massive amounts of holds. 30,000 feet. Let's go ahead and do seatbelts. Seatbelts are going off. Lights are good. After takeoff is pretty much done. We've got gear up, flaps up, speed brakes disarmed. Everything is golden. Top of descent's coming in pretty good too. So let's go over here and let's go to the 160 mile. So there is 160 miles. So there's Cadlo out there. Let's go and look at the bigger one. We can go to 320. So there's 320. Ah, look at that. There is a top of descent hockey stick right there. So here we are here after Elato. So after Elato, that's going to be our top of descent about there. So what I usually do is, it's breakfast time here at Spy HQ. Also, it's probably time for another cold pill or something, so I don't snarf all the way to Hong Kong. So what I usually do is I go and I stop the video now, and when that top of descent hockey stick hits the 80-mile range ring, that's when you should start the video up too, okay? So that's what you need to do with that. Before I go, I will mention that there is also a new channel that I've been working on. It is over on Patreon. I had never really done a Patreon before, but over on Twitch, unfortunately, some of the ads started to get a little crazy. And there were a few other things, and I just felt like there's too much. And so, but I didn't want to lose the revenue that was coming in, so I started a Patreon page. And one of the things that I do on Patreon is every day there's a spy flight, I put the spy flight pre-flight morning coffee video up over on Patreon. Right now it's open to everybody, probably going to stay that way for a few weeks before I have to turn that into members only. But this is where I do a complete flight briefing for what it is that we're going to do. So this flight obviously was an hour and 50 minutes long. 552 miles is what we're doing. We're taking the A20 November. We talk a little bit about the weather, go through all of that, talk a little bit about the airplane. It's generally about I think it's about a 6.5 to 10 minute video depending upon the flight. We also talk about what times you need to hit local times so that you can do an on-time departure. On-time departures are really, really important for going over and doing VATSIM events like Cross the Land and Cross the Pond, because they're starting to assign departure slots, so you have to depart on time, just like the real ones. And at this point, I'll also say a huge big thank you to the secret agents on Patreon: Richard, Loviz, Tim, Blazers in 2000, Andy Eagle, the special agents, Brandon and Wolfies, and there is a 00 agent too, B. Kaiser. Thank you for being that kind of incredible jet fuel in the flight plan and making it possible for me to cut down on the advertising and keep the business sides of things going too. So link is down in the description. If you like what you see and would like to keep this going, please consider heading over there. And so there we are. Our climb is good. We do have that non-directional beacon set up in the ADF. So let's go ahead and I'm going to hit pause. You hit pause too. And I will see you when that top of descent hockey stick gets down here to the 80-mile range contour. Okay? So right now it is breakfast time at Spy HQ, and I will look forward to seeing you in just a bit. Welcome back. Breakfast was great, but it is now time to start getting ready for one of the most challenging approaches in Flight Sim. As you can see, we've just passed the 80-mile mark here for our top of descent. So the first thing that we need to do is our initial approach descent is going to be 8,000 feet. I know that by checking over here. So here at Chengchao, as we come on in, if you look down here, initial approach at CH 8,000 feet. So let's go ahead and do 8,000 feet here in the altitude window. So let's go ahead and get that done. And 8,000 feet. Now, this is a new Airbus. It's not one of the old ones, so we have to do our own descent. So when we get close to the little hockey stick here, we're going to go ahead and get that done. Now, let's also, enter destination data. Hey, we got a cool way to do that, right? So, McDo menu, Air Traffic Services Unit, Air Operations Control, Weather Request, VHHX. Remember, we're going to change that to VHHH because there's no VHHX weather station. Send it, sending, and sent. Return, go to received messages. There should be 2 METARs now. So this is the new one. Let's click the one at the top. And this is our latest one. Let's go to the print. And after we print it, we can look down here and see the printer is going. Hope the co-pilot made sure there was plenty of printer ink. And tear it off. And there we go. So now what we could do is we could enter our destination data. So we could probably just hit the performance button here, and it took us to performance. So come on over here, come on over here. And our QNH is 1024. 1024. There's that QNH. The temperature is 17 degrees. Hey, look, Mom, no minus signs in front of the temperature. Boy, that's got to be nice. Okay, and then the winds are 360 at 6. 360 at 06. Now that I've got this in, I'm going to go ahead and clear that little reminder. Barrow. Okay, so I don't know. What I've gone and done is I've had a look over here to see. So there is 770 feet. On the IGS, we have a 1,777 at the outer marker. At decision height, I think that's 660 feet. So I believe that chart is telling me 660. 660 is our Barrow for minimums. I might be completely wrong about that. All right, back to performance. This looks good. How we doing here on the descent? We've still got about 50 miles to go. Let's go and see if we can pick up the Cheng Chao VOR. So let's go over here to radio nav, and Cheng Chao, so is going to be a VOR. Let's put in a frequency 112.2.3. Let's put this in and see if we can pick up the VOR. There's a 112.3. Oh, look at this. Now this says SL. That's, I believe, picking up the Shalawan. The ADF is picking up Shalawan right now. And this says CH. That's interesting. Let us see if, so we're set to, over here, VOR1. Yeah, we're set here, so we're picking up a VOR. So it's the VOR and the ADF. So all of those are good. And as we get closer, we should begin to pick, oh, look at this. It's given me DME. It's given me DME 119 nautical miles. How about that? That's pretty awesome. Now then, it's also showing ADF number 2, but it's not pointing at anything, so that's good. Okay, the next thing I want to do is for the landing system. Let's go ahead and we're going to come over here and we're going to go and get the ILS or the IGS for this one. This is not an ILS. This doesn't put you down on the runway. Oh, sorry. Yep, I did still snarfy. Apologies. Okay, 111. Uh-oh. Boy, are you lucky I have a microphone button on this. The sneezes were terrible. All right. 111.9. Let's put that in. So 111.90. We're going to put that in for LS frequency. For the inbound course, our inbound course is going to be 088 degrees. So 088, and there is an inbound course. Format error. It didn't like that. Okay, let's just try 88. Format error. Oh. Um. 0088. There's 4 boxes in there. Is that what you want? No, it doesn't like that. CRS. I don't know what that is. Let's try 088 up here in this box. Okay, we've got something there. I have no idea what this one's all about. No idea what that's all about, so we'll just kind of go from there. But we have this set up here. CRS, is that the identifier? It says LLZ. I have no idea. Okay, so I think I'm doing something wrong, but I'm not going to worry about it. Let's continue on and see where we are. Where's our top of descent? Ooh, 40 miles. Let's go ahead and I'm going to go and drop this down to 40 miles now so I can keep a closer eye on this. Now then, another safety tip that you can do for something like this, which is clearly outside of the zone, is look at your flight tracker. And so here's our airplane as we're coming on in, and we've got a couple of holds along the way here. Does that identify this by any chance? Of who that was? No, there's a hold there. I know that there was something called Alpha coming in on an approach, but I don't see that here. Look at this, 112.3. It's got Cheng Chao still over here. So Cheng Chao 112.3. It should have found that. It calls it CH though, and we have something called CF. So it didn't see that one. Radio nav 112.3. 112.3. It still shows that in there, but it didn't let me put it into the flight plan. Okay, well, let us continue. Okay. So anyhow, the important safety tip, and I'm sorry, today is totally scattered. I like to be a lot more organized than this one, but okay, coming on in. So as we come over here, All of this looks good. Here, over here is the new airport, the new Hong Kong airport over here. This is going to help us with a turnaround right over here. That's going to help us too. Okay. Here is another VOR called Tung Lung that we could have dialed in. Anyway, so I'm going to have that map over there just in case. Let's concentrate on the descent now. Everything else is good to go up here. Nothing here. Oh, you know what I have failed to fixate on is fuel. Let's look at the flight plan. We have 86 miles left to go. Estimated fuel on board when we land is 2.3. And it's 2.3 there. Now, I hear the fuel prediction page is a little wonky at the moment, but it says 2.4. If you are doing a long-distance flight, this becomes even more important. But final reserve and alternate fuel is supposed to be 1.4. So we're really good as far as fuel. We're not going to run out of gas. Which, you know, important safety tip, right? All right, all this looks good. We are now coming up on 10 miles. So we're going to come over here and I'm going to dial this to the 20-mile range. And now you can see 10 miles. I usually like to start my descent between the airplane and 5 miles here on like an Airbus A319, 20, and 21. So that's usually when I will press the button, which is one of my favorite lines from Mystery Science Theater. And by press the button, we're going to go ahead and we will go. And I'm going to probably, since we don't have a bunch of altitudes in here, just go ahead and make this an open descent on that. Now we are picking up the Cheng Chao VOR. We're 77 miles out and we're supposed to be at 8,000 feet. So I'm at flight level, what are we at, 360? 380. So let's do the math real fast. So 38,000 feet minus 8,000 feet times 3 divided by 1,000 is 90 miles. So according to this, if I wanted to be at 8,000 feet, I need to start my descent now. So according to the loose math, let's go ahead and start it. So we just did open descent, level change, and we have started our descent. Now let's go ahead and wind that back up to about 80 miles. And it shows us going to VHHX, and this is like reversed. That's like the other way around. That doesn't look right to me. So we're going to C, it says CF. That says CH. It doesn't show me CH. I don't necessarily think we're in the right spot here. There's also a little hash marky thing there that I haven't seen. This is the first time I've done it with this air. I think that's the airport right there. I think that's the airport. And CF, I believe, is it indicating that's some sort of an NDB or some sort of another checkpoint that isn't on my ancient old chart. So this is why you have this over here. What are we doing? We are not going to CH. There is Cheng Chao over there. No wonder that looks weird. Let's go ahead, and it's time to take control of our own heading. And let's go ahead, and I'm going to go to the left. How about 260 degrees? So we're going to make this turn, because that just didn't look right. So let's go ahead and see if we can't get over on this airway and head directly to CH. Let's also bring this down here. We might need a little bit more turn than that. I think I need to go at least to 240. Let's go to 240 degrees, and that should help get us over on that flight path. Because that just didn't seem right. That CF was weird down there. Okay, so let's go to radio and nav. We still have 111.9 dialed in. And so that's good. Now we're kind of heading over to this other point. That looks a lot better. I don't know what this is, though, because none of these checkpoints showed up in the flight plan. Yeah, and none of the ones that I was able to put in worked for us, too. Okay, so we're officially off the flight plan now. Let's dial that in and see what happens. There's 29,000 feet. $52 miles out for VOR 1. It's also not showing us VOR 1 either. It should show us that too, and it's not doing that. Okay. Transition, I believe here is 13,000 feet. Okay, now we're doing really good of getting on that heading. So I'm overlooking at this. We're getting over on this line here. Let's go to 270 degrees. So 270 and see what happens. See what happens. Yes, that's a very, very sound navigational principle. Works really good. 270. Okay, so that looks good too. Let's just go over here to the it is not showing the VOR or are heading towards it. Okay. So let's see. We're actually out a little bit wide here. There's 25,000 feet. This is usually when I'll do seatbelts and not tell the passengers how we're navigating this particular flight. Okay, yeah, this D here isn't showing a thing, so that's no help. Okay, now all of a sudden we have ADF2 showing up. Look at this. This is now pointing us towards ADF number 2. And as I recall, on our last flight when we did this, I think it was in the A310, so now we are picking up the Shalawan non-directional beacon. That's this thing here, and it's going to flash at us because we've got a 4,000 foot or meter hill. There's this little island that we're going around here. So this is going to flash at us. But as we continue to come around by Cheng Chau, we'll continue to 270, and then we'll go around to Shalawan, and then maybe at that point we'll pick up the ILS. Maybe. We shall see. Okay, so passing 23,000 feet. How is our progress towards this? So we're doing sort of good. We're kind of heading in here. That looks pretty good. I'm, you know, relatively encouraged now. But it's cool that we're picking up this. I'm surprised I'm not picking up anything for the VOR. It could be operator error, though. I could have done something wrong there. Now then, because we're not going to be too terribly managed, let's go ahead and start reducing our speed here, because things are going to get wacky quick. And so I really don't want to be just coming in at warp factor 10 here. That's going to be an important thing. All right, lights are all good. Nothing to worry about there. Seatbelts, nothing to worry about on the upper panel. Speed is coming down. That's very nice too. Not picking up anything here. I still don't know what I did wrong with that. 88 on that course. It still says format error. 088. And this popped up when I started doing this, so I don't know that I've got a good inbound course. 0088. And now it just disappeared. Okay. Whatever. Let's also come over here to performance. And over here we're on our descent. VAP is 125. So just kind of good to know that it's our approach speed is 125. We're doing relatively good. Our speed's coming down. I could descend a little faster, so I'm going to throw out some speed brakes here, which is going to increase our rate of descent. Because the airplane we told the airplane to hold 240 knots, but I've got speed brakes out. And so I think it's going to make us descend a little bit faster, and it is. Because I want to be at 8,000 feet at that Chengchow VOR. And we've got, what, about 12,000 to go. All right, let's go ahead, and I'm going to bring my map in to 20 miles. There is the runway. So at least it's showing the runway. And the non-directional beacon is really solid right now. So we're 22 miles from CH, from Chengchow. That's good. I'm glad I decided to do the little math thing and check out our descent. Otherwise, we would be way too high. So what would I have done if we were way too high? Well, I would have done maybe a 360 hold or something at Chengchow and used that to just, go orbit down a little bit. You could do that. You just overfly, come back and do a really big circle to lose the altitude. Right now we've got 10,000 feet to go. We got 20 miles to do it. So I think that's pretty good. The next altitude after Chengchow is going to be 6,000 feet at Gulf. I'm going to go ahead and continue down to 6,000 feet, and let's see how we're doing. If we're close to 8 in 16 miles, and we're probably going to be a little high, that's okay. And then after that, it's 4,500 over the non-directional beacon. As we're continuing to come in here, since these nav aids don't work, I'm going to go ahead and zoom us in. Now you're seeing the Hong Kong VOR. So after Chengchow, continue on a course of 270 degrees, and then what I will usually do is loop around the island a little bit beyond and fly over the runway, and then that should set us up over here. There's another VOR, 114.8, that should set us up relatively good too. So we're good sort of there. We're good sort of. How does that sound? Okay, we are 13 miles from Chengchow. We have, what, 8,000 feet to go to 8,000. So we're not so bad. It would be nice to see some more things. This CF looks like it is some sort of a non-directional beacon or something that's out over there, I guess. No idea where that is. It's not on my chart right now. Okay, so we'll continue. We're going to be a little bit to the south of Chengchow. That's okay. That means we got a little bit of room to maneuver. Now, as I recall, there were some speed restrictions on this too. So Chengchow, 8,000 feet, holding to 6. Gulf SL. After Gulf, 180 knots is what they want you to be at as you're coming into Shalawan. All right, so that is a good excuse for me to go to 210 on my speed. That way we can start throwing out a little bit of flap here. Okay, so 7 miles to Chengchow. We're going to reduce our speed. There is the little hash mark. That's what I call it. But this is basically a little gold mark here that says, hey, you can go and start extending some flaps. So let's do that. In some clouds, I doubt we have icing to worry about. It's 11 degrees outside. We're in good shape. We are 5 miles from Chengchow. So we're going to continue for another, I guess, 7 to 10 miles. We're going to be slightly high, but only by about 2,000 feet. You can see the Shalawan non-directional beacon is swinging around. That's good news. This is when we're going to catch up with our 6,000 feet, and that's where we're supposed to be at that checkpoint Gulf. So this is really good. Okay, altitude reset. Our altimeter should be 1024. So let's go ahead and do 1024. Altimeters are set. Oh, look at this. And you can see the island. So here is this little island around here. We are pretty much over the VOR, 2 miles from the VOR. I don't think the terrain radar works all that good, but let's just see. They did scratch it off. Maybe terrain radar is working again. So the in-op thing is gone, so maybe we have terrain radar. But really, now we can just be visual. All we have to do is go around this thing here. I'm going to activate the LS system, and let's see if all of a sudden, look at this, it's showing glide slope and localizer. And it's showing KL, is that correct? Holy moly, it says KL over here in the chart. So we have glide slope and localizer. All right, that's cool. Let's go ahead and let the airplane continue on down. So we're a little bit high, so I'm gonna let this continue down. There's 5,000 going hundreds, 4,500. We'll let this continue to come down. And we have passed Chengchao. We're going to Gulf. And Gulf is a point that is basically, if you look at the map, I think Gulf is this little spit of land over here. So after we do this, then we would kind of go around the island that way. And if you look over there, there's the new airport. So we're kind of where we're supposed to be. Now is the great time to do your posture check. Make sure you're seated, make sure your chair's locked in, and everything is good. Passing 7,000 feet, we should have done landing lights at 10,000. Nose light, cabin call, sterile cockpit. And as we look out the window, there is our turn. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna turn to the non-directional beacon. So let's go ahead and start over there. And let's also reduce our speed to 180. So 180 and start our turn. And so now we're doing our gentle turn over the island. We're a little bit beyond Gulf, but that's okay. So this is Point Gulf over here. Doesn't look like there's a golf course there, but there we are. Now you can see our non-directional beacon. So we're going to continue to go direct toward Shalawan. So we're going to continue to turn around and head right to Shalawan. After Shalawan, we should get on that localizer there. We can do another notch of flaps. Let's also go ahead and do auto brakes. Let's do auto brakes low. Let's get speed brakes armed. And speed brakes are armed. And we're looking pretty good. We're not going directly towards the non-directional beacon. Let's do that. Let's get over there. That looks good. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is we're continuing down to 4,500. That's good. That's how we intercept the glide slope. Here's localizer. So as we continue on towards the non-directional beacon, there's the airport. Our airport is going to be over in here. Okay, so that's looking good. 180. Let's come down here. Now we're going to go to performance. And I'm going to go and select activate approach mode and confirm. So when I go back to manage speed for landing, it's going to handle the speed for me. Here's the airport 15 miles out. There is KL. So once we go over the Shalawan VOR, which is at the end of the island here, this thing should all of a sudden start moving. And at that point in time, we need to go ahead and do our heading 088 degrees. I'm starting to see this move a little bit. I wonder if the NDB is, yeah, this is starting to creep. Almost time. after we fly over it, this isn't an instant thing. There it is. We've just flown over Shalawan. Now we should start to see this move eventually. Looking outside, there's the airport, there's the runways. There it's starting to move. How about 068 degrees to start? 068. There we go. Oh, we've overflown it. 088. There's our heading. Okay, we're at 4,500. I do not have... Okay, we've overflown a bit, so let's go to 90. Now we've also got glide slope. Let's get a little help from the approach system. I've armed the approach. Let's continue the turn. Okay, how about landing gear? Gear down. This looks good too. There goes our gear.
Flight attendants, please prepare for landing.
Okay, I'm going to go over here to 011 and see if that helps us get over on localizer. Localizer and glide slope are blue. It's got glide slope, it's got localizer, we're looking good. Okay, gently put your feet on your rudder pedals. It's gonna start to get fast from here. We're gonna get a couple of marker beacons here. That looks good. We are 10-mile finals. Generally, I do gear and flaps and all of that, you know, closer to the runway. This airport is different. I do these things a little bit sooner. If you look carefully out the window, you can see that little bit of land there. There's the runway. If you look even closer, there is a little spot here. I believe that's the checkerboard. So that looks good too. Gear is down, 3 green. Auto brakes. Speed brakes. Everything is good. I'm going to bring the map in one last click. This is now 10-mile finals. Let's go ahead and do managed for landing.
2,500.
And we can do flaps 3. There's flaps 3. Another thing to look for on this one is what I call the chaser lights. Okay, you know the lights, the strobes that point you in the direction of the runway? This airport has little chaser lights or strobes, and then it's going to go straight away from you and then turn you towards the runway. That's another great thing to look for as we're coming in on this approach. And flaps can go full, and a nice view outside the airplane. People, there's been a few people that have been over in the spy flight in chat, and they have actually been passengers on airplanes that did this approach. And the last time we did this, New Year's Eve, one of the spy pilots that was telling the story was able to look out the window, see skyscrapers, and see people in the skyscrapers. So that's pretty impressive to me that that's what you could see. Okay, everything's looking good. Gear is down, flaps are out. Now the next thing that I'm looking for is our little chaser lights. I believe this little lighted spot here in the center is the checkerboard.
2,000.
We're doing really good. We're right on both. There's outer marker. So if you want, look over here and you can see, I believe this is the outer marker, which is a little, it looks like a little island and a ship channel. And if we look over there, there's a little island. There's a ship channel right there. So we're good to go with that. That looks great. All of this is apparently good. We are 5 miles from the airport. Now, I always thought that you kind of came in by these buildings, by that little gap. But apparently, if you look straight ahead, I still think that that's the checkerboard right there. So apparently we go by these buildings. I thought we went in over here. The next safety tip here is as you're coming on in is eventually you're going to want to take control. So last thing on the ECAM checklist is cabin call. ECAM checklist is clear. AP is off. Captain's got the airplane. Note the winds. Winds right now are coming from the left, blowing us to the right. And I imagine you don't want to get below glide slope on this. Looking pretty good. I now do see the checkerboard. It's right in front of us. And the next thing that I'm looking for, I'm getting a little high now. The next thing to look for is those chaser lights. We may not see them too well during the day, but we should see the light poles for sure. I'm also looking a little bit to the right at my runway. Should be able to clearly see the checkerboard. It's right there, coming over the buildings. I don't see light poles. I don't see lights. I see checkerboard. I see runway. Let's go ahead and start a gentle turn. You can clearly see the checkerboard showing up there. Continue the descent. There's the chaser lights. Landing. Hands on the throttles.
500.
There's our lights, so we're a little bit off, but not bad. Now we can see the chaser lights pushing us down. And then there's our
300.
turn. This is not a approach that you're going to be good at the first time. So if you are, congratulations. I mean, seriously. You know, I'm buying the pizza and beverages that day, but this is one
100.
that takes work getting good at.
50, 40, 30, 20, retard, 10, 5.
Reverse. Reversers. Welcome to Hong Kong and Kai Tak Airport. That one actually felt really good. I can't wait to see how heavy the landing rate was. 60 miles, speed brakes off, auto brakes disarmed, thrust reversers off, sorry. Speed brakes down. And we'll just get the next taxiway. So the taxiway's here. You're right up next to the water here. And here's our taxi off. Flaps can go up. Landing lights can go off. Strobes can go off. See the water over here? You do not want to do a high-speed taxi into the water over there. I think that there was actually a little bit of a barrier to keep you from doing that, but still, that would have been a problem. Now, they did end up constructing a little bit of a bridge, so you'll see this bridge coming up for airplanes. It's an airplane bridge over the water, and I believe that's the cargo zone. So that's part of cargo. And there was parking really, there's a couple of jetways, but they had parking way in beyond the terminal area. So there you can see the bridge over to the cargo zone over there. There's a radar dome over there and more parking. So I'm sure that cargo was a huge deal here. And there's that bridge. And there it is. This is also, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is also the default. This is free. This is a free scenery upgrade with Microsoft Flight Simulator 40th anniversary version, which is really pretty cool. If you look carefully off to the side, you can see the chaser lights starting to show up there. You can also see the water moving, kind of blowing at us. That was the wind direction. And I believe this is another bridge area here for cargo planes. And we'll come on up to the terminal area. The map will show you just how far back the parking went. We'll go over and grab one of the jetways. And I'm speeding along here at Warp Factor 10. So we'll go grab ourselves a jetway. But they had the east apron, the main apron. There was an awful lot of stairways. So just a few gates with jetways. This is definitely one of those flights that you've got to do if you're just getting into flight sim. And now that we got a freeware scenery, it's really pretty cool. Forgetting to do APU. APU start. And as you can see, this airplane handled it beautifully. I think United was flying the DC-10 in here. I think they also flew a lot of airlines did the 747s in here. So you can fly your favorite airliner in here too. At one point in time, the Concorde was flown in here. So you can fly the Concorde in too. It looked to me as though the drive-up area for this airport was really kind of small. And so the drive-up and drop-off area, I believe, as I look around, looks like it was over here, which was pretty cool. This is also one of those really kind of fun airports to go and take the drone camera around. This is also one of those airplanes that sometimes just seems to have super glue on the wheels. If you get going too slow, it just sort of stops, and then you've really got to floor it to get it going. Maybe that's me doing something wrong. I don't know. Okay, how about if we grab this gate right here? So coasting to a stop is sometimes kind of difficult. Gate guidance going in is still a thing. Really hoping that there's a developer out there that's going to get an automated gate docking system for us. Eventually, we're going to need that. Now, here we are. We've stopped again, and I've had to go and kick the throttles up far too much to get us going there. So here we are at gate number 3. That's probably good. I don't know which jetway works on this one. So let's go ahead and add, let's just go to that other little spot and see what happens. So I'm not sure which jetway will activate. Come on. There we go. Okay, parking brakes and engines. We've already got the APU up and running, so that can go over there. Let's go and get the APU bleed on. We'll do seatbelts because passengers are already standing up. Nose light should have gone off. We'll also do the beacon. All the other lights are good. Let's do our fuel pumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And by the way, there's something about this airplane. So if you zoom in really, really closely to these buttons, and then so let's turn on the APU bleed. You see the button actually depresses in there. I think that's incredible detail. Okay, come over here to the truck. Let's go to services. Wheel chocks are out, so let's call a jet bridge, and we can call the ground power unit. And you can see that it's going to be the outer jetway that's going to come in here and grab our airplane. And there we go, we made it. Okay, let's see how bad the landing rate was. I don't know what it is, but SimToolkit Pro just gives me the worst landing rates. Minus 193. 193 at Kaitak. I will take that one any day of the week. And how about that? This is an awesome approach. This is this is one you definitely need to do in any airplane. Yes, New Year's Eve when we did this on the Spy Flight on Twitch, somebody brought in the Mad Dog, stuck the landing. It looked really, really good. We had some 747s. By the way, coming around the airport, they've got the control tower Very, very nicely modeled. Be sure and take your drone camera and go over and explore the checkerboard. That is another really, really good thing to go and look at. As always, when it comes to my spy flights and things like this here, especially on YouTube, it really is not about the right way versus the wrong way. This is just what is working for me. I am new here on YouTube, so I definitely am still to the point where I read all the comments and questions, and I try to get back to you as soon as I can on those too. I do skip a few days and unplug from the internet. So thank you so much for being here. A huge big thank you to the subscribers on Twitch. Also, if you could, if you like the video, if you feel like sharing it on YouTube, that also helps me grow a little bit too, and the like button is definitely appreciated. Thank you to the gifters, but also a big thank you to the secret agents over on Patreon. I said them once before: Richard, Loviz, Tim, Blazers in 2000, Andy Eagle. There are two special agents, Brandon Stewart, and also Wolfies, and a double O. Thank you, B. Kaiser, for being one of the double O's and being incredible jet fuel in my flight plan for sure. Thank you so much for flying along. I will look forward to seeing you in the friendly sim skies soon. As always, though, stay healthy, stay safe, and happy sim flying.